everybody. Thank you all for coming out tonight. My name is Nicole. Ben, can you turn the music on? Okay, thanks. Okay, hi, my name is Nicole. I'm the marketing coordinator here at Books Are Magic. We're so excited to have Jade, Chang, and Isaac Fitzgerald here with us tonight to celebrate the launch of What a Time to Be Alive. Before we get started, I just have a few housekeeping rules. If you need to use the restroom at any point, there is a restroom by that moleskin spinner. We'll be doing a hand raised Q&A at the end, so start thinking of your questions now. After the talk tonight, Jade will be signing and personalizing books at the table where you checked in. So we'll let you know where and when to line up when it's that time. And if you're joining us virtually on the YouTube live stream, we'd love to encourage you to buy a copy of What a Time to Be Alive online using the link in the live stream description. What a Time to Be Alive is a deeply moving and often hilarious novel following a woman who becomes an internet folk hero in the most unexpected way, catapulting her into fame and influence just as she's finally beginning to reckon with her complicated past. Driven by an exuberant, searching spirit, Jade Chang's kaleidoscopic novel is a deep examination of the ways we commodify belief, the power and purity of fame, and the delicious terror of being truly seen. Jade Chang's debut novel, The Wangs vs. the World, won the VCU Kevo First Novelist Award and has been published in a dozen countries. Her journalism and essays have recently appeared in the Best American Food Writing and in the New York Times and Los Angeles Times Magazine. She also writes for film and TV. She lives in Los Angeles.
Woo!
As I mentioned earlier, Isaac Fitzgerald joins Jade in conversation tonight. Isaac is the New York Times bestselling author of Dirtbag, Massachusetts, which we have for sale at the front. He's the author of the best-selling children's book How to Be a Pirate, as well as the co-author of Pen and Ink, Tattoos and the Stories Behind Them, and Knives and Ink, Chefs and the Stories Behind Their Tattoos. His writing has appeared in the New York Times, The Atlantic, Esquire, The Guardian, The Best American Non-Required Reading, and numerous other publications. He lives with his wife on the North Fork of Long Island and is currently writing his next book, American Dionysus. So without any further delay, please join me in welcoming Jade and Isaac.
Real quick, can we just give it up for all the great workers here at Books Are Magic? That was Nicole right there. Give it up for them. Thank you for being here. Hi, Jade.
Hi, Isaac.
How we doing?
Pretty good.
You look so good.
Thank you.
Am I right? Let's. Can we just have another moment for the boots? For the boots alone? Come on.
Thank you.
The whole outfit, very nice.
I mean,
Stop. Don't. That's so patronizing. Don't. Stop. Stop.
Are you kidding me? If I didn't think you looked good, I would not have mentioned it.
That's first off, I know that's true. Obviously, we know each other. We go back. But I wanted to say, do you want to start by just like reading us a little section from the book?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the first time I've read from this book. I didn't actually read from it when we did the launch in LA. What I'm about to read was just selected by my editor, Helen Asma, who's sitting right there. No. No blame whatsoever. There's a little bit that you should know before I read this, which is, so this book is about, wow, there's a lot, but it opens with a funeral, sorry to say. And this book is from the point of view of Lola Treasure Gold, a 31-year-old young woman who is living in Los Angeles, kind of lost, doesn't know what is going to happen with her or her life or the world or anything. And then she loses one of her best friends. And it starts with his funeral. And then through a really crazy series of events that I'm sure we will talk about a little bit, she kind of finds herself in a position to take advantage of this unexpected swell of attention from the world to become an accidental self-help guru. And what I'm about to read comes after she was invited to attend, after she snuck into the TED conference and met a woman who was very taken by her and seems ready to kind of believe in her a little bit. And this is the first invitation that she receives to act upon some potential gurudom. Okay. Oh, good. I can still see this without glasses. Okay. A week ago, Marielle had messaged me with an unexpected invitation. Oh, I should say also, she snuck into TED with a friend's badge, and that friend's name is Jane Kim. So the invitation says, "Hello, not Jane Kim. I'm writing to invite you to a salon at my house with one catch, that you be the main attraction. We're a cool assortment of ladies who love to be exposed to new ideas. In the past, we've had a SETI scientist, it's the NASA bureau that researches aliens, a SETI scientist come talk to us about the possibility of life on other planets. My dog walker came and we've had my dog walker come and talk about how you could use obedience training on your partner. A World Series of Poker winner come give us tips about spotting tells. And my neighbor, you know who, even came and workshopped her HBO set with us, which, to be honest, didn't go that well. You know what? My dog walker was the most popular by far. But I think they'll love you. Will you let us know? Will you let me know if you're interested, what your fee is, and what you propose?" I didn't know if this was a form of amends, but I knew I'd say yes. Did that make me a sellout? Was that even an insult anymore? I pictured the audience, a mass of Marielles, women who wore their zodiac signs around their necks in diamonds and gold. These women, I decided, were already acculturated to be moved by talk of the universe, of the cosmos. I could say something about growth and renewal, about our willingness to believe in a primal connection to a celestial body. I'd written back saying I didn't need to be paid. It seemed wrong to charge for something I'd never done before, and that I looked forward to them joining me for an experimental evening. Marielle replied with heart emojis and an attached list of the invitees. I took to the internet, each name returning a search result more impressive than the last, and kicked myself for not being brave enough to ask for money. What does a guru wear? I pulled an intricately embroidered Mexican wedding dress out of my closet, accidentally dislodging a hot pink silk caftan I'd forgotten about. I threw both on my bed, where they joined half my wardrobe, already considered and discarded. Every Asian person in America with a trickster soul believes that with the right timbre of voice and angle of bow, they can con a bunch of white people into thinking they possess some sort of secret Eastern knowledge. Right? You guys picked that up. I feel a deep kinship with my friend's nephew, who sold race cards, quote unquote, to his white classmates, allowing them to say the N-word, but only when they were singing something written by a black artist. And with another friend's Peruvian girlfriend, who realized her accent and a floral bedecked braid were all the qualifications needed to perform high-end cacao rituals at spiritual retreats in Malibu. Truly, it is an honor to join their ranks.
Woo! So obviously, I want to start with Lola. I want to like, what a fantastic character.
Thank you.
She's compelling. Like, how did you discover her? Like, another way to put it might be, what came first?
Mm-hmm.
Lola, the character, or the idea for the novel?
I think that I knew I wanted to write a book about this world from the point of view of someone who was becoming a guru in this world, you know, and not from the point of view of like one of their followers or a skeptic, you know, like I feel like these stories are always told from the point of view of like the skeptical reporter who's going to out everybody, you know, and I definitely wanted to tell it from her point of view.
Real quick, when you say this world, just like elaborate on that for everyone, those who haven't read the book yet, like the world of self-help gurus, you know, anyone. Now it's largely online, but I mean, we've had it, you know, in the form of like books or small churches, or I mean, you know, this world has existed as long as we've existed, right? But yeah, the world of self-help gurus are people who are kind of out there saying, okay, I am experiencing and examining this life, and I got something to say, and maybe you want to follow along. And maybe give me money
and maybe give me some money.
And maybe give me some money along the way.
Yeah, I mean, not so different from being a writer, honestly.
We're gonna get. Hey, stop skipping ahead. We're gonna build. We're gonna build up to that.
Yeah.
But no, this idea that
like you wanted to examine somebody who's coming up in that world, because it's also sometimes told from the point of view of somebody that's been doing it for a very long time.
Yeah, true.
So you had this concept, you had this idea.
Mhm.
When did you discover Lola?
It was really hard. I think like I knew I wanted it to be a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wanted to write in the first person. And so I think discovering her and discovering her voice kind of went like hand in hand. And I knew I wanted her to like live in the LA that I knew, you know, that I have experienced, that I feel like does not get shown as much in popular media. And I knew I wanted her to be both a little lost and a true enjoyer of life. Like I knew all of those things because I knew the kind of like feeling that I wanted to write in. But in terms of like finding her voice, that was really hard. You know, The Wangs was written it was 5 separate characters, third person, close third, right? And to me, even though that sounds harder because there's so many characters, I found it a lot easier because you don't need one voice to kind of carry the whole thing, right? Yeah, but with this, I really had to. I think it took me almost a year of stops and starts and feeling like what I was writing felt too cute or too clever or I think I needed to really figure out how to pare back to find her.
How long were you working on this book?
Isaac.
Yeah.
So long.
Girl, talk about it.
I'm very slow. I'm just a very slow person, I think. And I don't want things to be out there until I really feel like they're done. I mean, in terms of like sitting down and being very concentrated and really writing every single day, I probably did it for 3 full years. But before that, I mean, The Wangs versus the World came out in 2016. I'd been thinking about this book in this iteration since then and making notes on it and writing an outline and all of that stuff. So it's like close to 10 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
This was never crossing into Wangs, though. It's not like this.
No, I didn't. I never worked on them.
It was just like a second. Second idea. All right.
Yeah.
The interest in scamming.
Yeah.
What you just kind of touched on a little bit with things you're gonna say and I can't say. Like in social media in general. Like when did you know that was that always like, oh, this is gonna be a focus in it? Like it's not gonna be a small church. It's not gonna be.
Oh. Yes.
You always knew it was going to be. So for those that haven't read, again, there's this early moment early on, a speech is given, it goes viral. So all of a sudden this attention from the world is kind of laid at Lola's doorstep and she tries to figure out what to do with that attention. Did you always know that was going to be your way in?
Once I started working on this book, yes, I definitely, because I want to write about the world that's happening right now, you know? And I think what is really interesting right now is all the possibilities, all the pitfalls, all the terrible things that could happen, but then all the unexpected, amazing things that could happen with this kind of unexpected, unasked for, sudden social media propelled celebrity. And I just thought it was so, it's such a fascinating part of our age. Yeah. And no, I didn't want to write an actual cult. I didn't want Lola to have mindless followers who just, whatever. I'm sure like some version of followers are always mindless, but I didn't want her to be, looking for people that she could actually manipulate and con and, in a really terrible, exploitative way. I wanted to just be like a pleasant scam,
and to watch her try and like kind of figure it out a little bit as she goes, and wrestle with it, which you do did a fantastic job. Yeah. So talk to me about like that's what interests you, like.
Yeah, for sure. So the morality of like, oh, wait a minute, I can see that if I do this, then people respond to me in this way, and if I do it a little, I don't know, like a little slouchier or a little like less compelling, then suddenly they don't. Well, okay, then I am going to do this. I am going to like wear the cuter shirt or like, you know, add a little wink at the, you know, like that kind of a thing. But then, yeah, what is the morality behind that when you are someone who is trying to actually be sincere and figure these things out for real? Yeah.
So to real quick, and then I want to, because
Mhm.
I'm excited about this next question, but just again, for those kind of haven't read it yet, you
Mhm.
mentioned that it opens with a funeral.
Mhm.
It is a friend.
Yeah.
Who, can you just talk a little bit about Alex and like kind of what happens there right at the beginning?
Yeah.
And how she gets thrown into the spotlight before I ask the next question. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So when the book opens, Lola is 31. Is that right? Yeah, she's 31.
Wait, hang on. Sorry, not to jump in. I
Uh-huh.
wanted to ask that too. Like, what made you land on that age? Because I think that is such a great age for like, oh shit, what am I doing?
Yeah. I thought about the age a lot because I feel like that is the age where you are you guys 31?
Offensive. They're 24.
Oh,
Okay. No, never mind. Back
okay.
it. Back it.
Well,
Back. Never. Now I'm back on her side. Okay, you could have said yes.
I saw the point in those. But no, I feel like 31, that is the age in like modern life where you're thinking like, oh no. Like if I don't figure my life out now, what is gonna happen to me? You know? Like where am I gonna go? How am I gonna support myself? Is everything gonna fall apart? I feel like it took me much longer. I feel like in reality we are actually all, you know, still figuring it out over and over all the time. But I do think that's the age where you panic. And right? And so that was really interesting to me. Like I love when people are at that precipice, you know, at that point of like, I'm a little too old to be figuring this shit out, but I'm still figuring it out. Yeah. I
genuinely, this is like one of my like talking, like I really believe we should teach this in schools. Like 30 is not like,
it's not the end.
I moved from San Francisco to New York because I need to get my life together, which what was I thinking that? But that 100% is just as you approach 30, you're like, oh no, I'm an adult now. And it's like, it's okay. But okay, so the age
you have so much time.
You're doing a great job.
So much time.
Everybody's doing a great job.
Yeah.
But so you chose the age, and just real quick, Alex.
Yes. Okay. So, as we said, the book opens with a funeral. Essentially, Lola, because she does not have a real traditional family, what she does have is a family of friends, and a family of very close friends, some of whom she grew up with and some of whom she met in college. And Alex is one of the friends she met in college, and they, you know, they really have one of those like, what could be, but it's not, but we've never, and yet maybe, and probably we're gonna, you know, like that kind of a relationship.
Will they, won't they?
Exactly.
But they probably will.
And is it mostly in her own head? Possibly, you know, things unfold, you'll see. But yeah, I think that he, besides being truly a best friend, you know, someone you spend so much time with and talk to about everything and really feel your life very intertwined with, I think he was also a possibility for her future. And so when he dies in a really dumb way, that actually I'm interested.
Nope. I knew you were gonna.
Well, just because it's so dumb that So basically, he and his friends have been making.
Yeah, don't say it. Sell more books. Buy the book if you want to know how.
Okay, that's my agent in the front row.
Smart man.
But yes, he dies in a pretty ridiculous way, and that is kind of what sets. Oh hi. That is kind of what sets everything off and leads her to such a state of both grief and despair, and then also kind of the world being blown clear and a weird sense of possibility as well.
And again, something gets recorded and it gets launched into this kind of viral sensation that she experiences. So I want to ask, what kind of research did you, like you were like, oh, I want it to be of the moment, I want it to be of this time. We see people who are definitely like espousing all sorts of things online and gathering huge followings off of it. You know, I would argue it's like almost modern day 1800s revivalists who used to march
100%.
again around the land. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of research did you do? How much of this stuff did you watch? Is what, like, I can just cut. Like, yeah, how much of this did you watch?
Well, first of all, I love TikTok. So
Great.
I definitely just saw a lot of it. And it was really interesting to kind of just like let it come and see what you get and how it affects you. I also, surprisingly or not surprisingly, I guess, had two real life friends who had kind of not exactly the same, but kind of similar things happened that really informed this. One, Tracy McMillan, she's essentially a relationship expert, and she years ago, a mutual friend of ours was an editor at the HuffPo Divorces Vertical, and she
What a time.
I know, what a time. And she asked Tracy to write Tracy's great. I'm not blowing up her spot here. Tracy is great at getting engaged. She has been engaged multiple times. And it's kind of the basis of this article that she wrote that essentially was like, why you're not married yet. And the article went crazy, and she was able to launch a whole career off of it. Not to discount like the career she had before, but it definitely took it in a brand new direction. So kind of watching how that unfolded was fascinating. And then one of my best friends in Los Angeles is Amanda Yates Garcia, who is better known as the Oracle of Los Angeles. And she has a very public career as a witch and an artist and a writer. And she really does a very beautiful job of kind of engaging with the world and talking about how to get through this insane time that we're in. And I really got to have a very front row seat to her kind of figuring out her influence and how she was going to deal with that. Yeah. So both of those were also helpful.
Really hyper informing the novel. Obviously, another giant part of this book is grief.
Yeah.
And the ways in which we deal with it, and the ways that we tackle it, and the ways it shows up in ways we maybe don't even fully understand. What did you always know that was going to be a big part of this? Like, you were clearly talking about that you were interested in like how somebody goes from like, what am I doing with my life, to like, ooh, maybe I can give other people's advice on what to do with theirs. Well, I haven't figured my own out yet. But did you always know there was going to be that kind of grief slice of it?
I think so. And I think that a big part of it was, look, it's almost impossible to get to this point in our lives when we're no longer 31 without having experienced some form of grief. And I think that one of the things that is always so surprising and, for lack of a better word, very beautiful in those moments is that sense that you are so like blown open, you know, and that it's so impossible to kind of hide yourself or like hide your emotions or have some kind of scrim over, you know, of like propriety or how you should be or what you should talk about, right? And I think that I guess if you're looking at it very cynically, like, yes, that in a way was a device for her to get to a place where she could be open enough to talk about all of this. But then, honestly, from a very non-cynical way, I think that is a moment that I've always found kind of profoundly beautiful and totally terrible. And I felt like, I wanted to write about it. I wanted to see what it felt like to render that in a character.
Again, I think you did it very, very beautifully. Like, there's the real grief, and then there's the commodification of grief. And also, aren't they just in some ways both the same? And I think that's something
Yeah.
like, again, Lola as a character is both like super compelling, incredible narrator, not exactly likable all the time, but like who cares about like
Yeah.
I think there's so much going on in this book where I don't want to say like two faces or a vase, but you're like really grabbing the different ways in which like, are we all scammers? Are we all true believers? And I just think you did a fantastic job of that on the page. I have like 17 million more questions, but we're gonna open it up to y'all in just a little bit. So be ready for that. But I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
I got like, let's do 2 more before we open it up to the audience here.
Okay.
I'm gonna do them in the opposite order. What interests you about the moon?
Wait, what did I see about it?
No, what interests you about the
what
moon?
interests me? Oh God, so much.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of moon.
There's a lot of moon. I did at one. So I'm very forgetful, but I'm also a very intense researcher. So it was one point where honestly I knew everything about the moon. I don't
Just for
anymore.
this book.
Just for this book. Yeah. To research.
For those that don't know, how does the moon tie in? And
So the part that I read where she's invited to go do this thing, she decides to do a moon ceremony, and she asks Marielle, the woman who invited her, she asks her to get these telescopes so that she can have people actually look at the moon, and that actually comes from I was at this writing residency, and Charles D'Ambrosio brought a telescope, and I looked, he's a novelist, and I looked through it, and I had never looked at the moon through a telescope before, and it felt like a giant smack in the face. Like, it was so amazing. It was so amazing to kind of know that that was real, that I was looking at it right there. Not that I didn't believe the moon was real before, obviously, but to just like really see those craters, I thought it was so moving. And so I think that experience was what kind of led me to this, but also the sense that the moon really affects the earth, like everything that we say, the reason that the moon is always kind of the subject of these like metaphysical talks and spiritual movements and all of that is because it's true. It does have an extreme effect on the earth. And it's also moving away from us at a surprisingly fast rate. It's like 1.26 centimeters a year or something. Like, seems like a lot to me. Who knows what life could be like in 100 years when the moon is 100 centimeters away. But yeah, so I think just that, my own experience, and then the actual true effect that it has on the earth, and just like the kind of place that it holds in the culture, where it is such an easily recognizable spiritual force. Yeah, all of those things. And for anyone who hasn't seen the actual hard copy yet, actually, Isaac, do you know this? The little interstitials, I don't know what to call them, like the little
page breaks.
Yeah, are the moon phases, and they are exact for the year in which this takes place.
Because it happens over the course of that.
Yes, it happens over the course of a year.
Shout out to the designer on that.
I know.
Nice
Very
job.
cool, right?
That is very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So my last question, listen, there's the relation, there's the absent mom, there's so many. The friendship is such a big part of this book, which I want, like, if I could ask you 10 more questions, I'd ask about that. But there's like friendship and mess, I guess.
Well, yeah.
Like, is that something? Do you feel like, I know friendship? Sorry, this is where we get a little personal because I do know you. Like, I know how important friendships are to you.
Do it, Isaac.
Yeah, I'm doing
Get
it.
personal.
Yeah, we
Let's
are.
hear it.
Like, friendships are so important to you. I know that life has not been a straight line for you. So, like, how important was it to you to kind of portray that on the page, to bring that? Like, did you know super early on this was going to be somebody that was into friendship, that kind of had a selected family, a chosen family, and that you wanted to explore the messiness of what life can be? I like at a very basic level, like, what interests you in mess?
I mean, mess is so interesting. Who wants to read something that is just like linear and perfect, where someone's life unfolds exactly the way they expect and want?
Yeah.
That's boring and annoying, honestly.
Might be easier to write, though.
Is it? No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think it would be harder to make that interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's weird though? Actually, yes, you're right. Friendship is very important to me, but I did not go in thinking that this was a story about friendship. I thought of it as a story about chosen family for sure, but I don't know. I think that as the book went on, you'll see there is a character who is essentially Lola's other best friend, the one who didn't die, thank God, and she is they've known each other since they were very young, since they were children basically, and that other friend is also an only child, and they really are like sisters, except they're not. They are friends. They have decided to kind of always be in it together. And I think when I realized how important that relationship was in the book, I think I really started to think about how I wanted to write the kinds of friendships that I know, which are very close, very honest, not really like rife with actual jealousy or secret hatred or anything like that, and yet don't shy away from those things if they come up, like just what feels like a very true friendship to me. Yeah.
And talk about it openly.
And
tackle
talk
it.
about it really openly. Exactly. Not just kind of like keep everything buried and just go on a cute girls trip together. Like that's just not interesting to me. Yeah.
Well, and it made for a fascinating novel. Ladies and gentlemen, Jade Chang. I'm going to open it up to questions now. Don't worry, I have plenty to fall back on if you don't have any, but I feel like you might. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm excited to read the book. I have not
Thank
read
you.
it yet. As far as gurus go, did you dive into do like deep dives on gurus for the book? And if so, did any resonate with you either in a good or bad way?
I'm going to repeat the question for the YouTube audience, but the question was, did you research and go in and deep dive on any gurus, and did any particularly resonate with you? And then I'm going to add a little editorial, which is like, so did you fall for any gurus while researching the book?
Good or bad?
Yeah, good or bad. No judgment. No judgment. Very important. That's no judgment.
I try. So every time I come across someone, I try, like if it's someone that sounds like, oh, okay, this person seems smart and like they're talking about something real. I tried to kind of just be completely open to it. This is very weird, but I always want to know if I could be like lured into a cult or hypnotized or anything like that. It hasn't happened yet, but it could happen. It's always tonight.
You live in LA.
You
So,
guys
sorry. I couldn't help it. Sorry, I keep answering the question.
That
Keep answering the
only
question.
LA has these things, but you don't think there's cults in this city?
Yeah.
Come on.
So listen, 100%.
Yeah. So the answer is that basically so while I was researching this book, I went to an Oprah Super Soul Sunday in person. Lots of gurus there. It was very fascinating. And that was where I kind of realized, oh my God, all these people have the same blueprint. They are doing the same thing. All of it is, I was down in the dumps. I was at my lowest. It was almost over for me. And then I found drumming, soul cycle, mountain climbing, something.
The moon.
Possibly the moon. Yes. Healthy eating. One of those things. And I got into that. And I did it. And I got so into it that I saw a glimmer of light. I've seen that glimmer of light. And now let me bring that light to you, the people. Truly every single person in this day-long Oprah extravaganza was doing that. And I honestly, it was the other thing that was really interesting is that there were some of them that I was like, oh, okay, I will drum. Sure. Like that sounds good. And then others where I was like, no, you're topless on a horse. That's not like, what are you doing, sir? Like, that's not interesting. But so I think that that was such a revelatory moment because I realized one, everyone's kind of saying the same thing,
Mm.
and two, that's okay because we all need like a different mechanism of delivery to latch onto.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do. Were there any practices that you still that you're like, okay, listen, I'm not joining the cult, but like I do like drumming. So now on every Saturday, I go to the dog park and we have a little drum circle.
No, okay, this is really ridiculous. So not from that, but my mom, when I was a child, read, is it not Raquel? Yeah, Raquel Welch. I think she was the one who had those kind of like self-discovery books in the 80s. No.
The actress? Yeah.
Shirley MacLaine. Shirley MacLaine. Sorry.
Shirley MacLaine.
Raquel Welch was the yoga. Shirley MacLaine was the revelation. And my mom read the Shirley MacLaine book, and then she was like, we should all meditate. So as a child, I did these meditations that were, it was just like a, whatever, there's one like kind of little method. And that I still do, and it is something I would probably bring to the people if I were a guru.
It's not. Hey,
Not
right
too
now
late.
there's a little camera going there right now. We can
Join
start
me.
tonight. Another question.
Now you said this was okay. This was 10 years that you were doing this book. Were you ever at any point writing and then like I don't know what other example to use, whether it be OnlyFans or Charlie Kirk, whatever. Was there anything that made you say, "Ooh, with this event, would you change your story," or were you pretty much set and pretty much didn't mess with you too much? I don't know.
So the question is, you were working on the story for 10 years, yet all these new forms of kind of talking to the internet have come up. Did any of them all of a sudden change or like get into the book late in the game, et cetera, et cetera? That's a great question.
Yeah, it is a great question. You know, I don't think there wasn't one thing that kind of, you know, made me do a quick about face or anything like that. But I do think that I wanted to be very open to that world as I was writing this. So I do think that everything that was happening did kind of, I mean, OnlyFans is a great example actually, because I do think that like the way that we as a society have looked at OnlyFans and the way that that has shifted over the years has been really interesting, you know, from kind of disgust and fear to a certain understanding and acceptance to, I would say now, like another period of uncertainty and like, is this what we really want, right? And yeah, and I think all of that did affect the book as it went, but no like big push, you know. Yeah.
That's what you just said was fascinating. Also, I feel like you could say that about the internet in general. There was like initial disgust and fear, and then all of a sudden radical acceptance to the point of like, this is huge.
This is everything. This is our
to
future.
like,
Do we want this? Yeah.
That's fascinating. One more, piggybacking with great glasses.
Do you feel like that about TED Talks? Because like, like that's changed a lot.
Yeah, totally. Well, okay, so
Question was about TED Talks, which feature in the book.
Yes, so she goes to TED in the book, and I have been to TED a couple of times, and I went at the same time as I went to Oprah Super Soul Sunday, and that was another kind of revelatory moment where I realized, oh God, these, like, yes, I am not like taking anything away from the work of the scientists and the tech people who were at TED, but the mechanism of delivery, the same. Like literally bar for bar, movement for movement, same thing, right? We have a problem. We were in the depths of despair. Everything was going wrong. How do you solve this problem? Wait a minute. One person had a small idea that changed everything. We held on to that. And then, what do you know? Here we are, we're changing the world. Won't you come with us?
Let me share with you this glimmer of light.
Yeah, exactly. Please buy my product now. Yeah. I mean, almost exactly the same. And what was the actual question?
Just that the sort of TED Talk, the perception of TED Talks has also changed. Like 10 years ago,
Yes.
the way people regarded it, and what, you know, how people view them now is different.
Yeah.
So real quick, to the perception of TED Talks, the ways that like basically 10 or 15,
Mhm.
you're like, oh my God, I can see so-and-so talk about such a
Mhm.
thing. And now I
Yeah.
know about
Mhm.
how we're curing malaria.
Yeah.
And then now people are like, ooh,
Some
this feels a
skepticism.
little bit like, again, that same
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
1800s revivalist.
I think it is, yes. I think it's really interesting. And I think it is because they have become such a formula, right? And I think what's dangerous about it is not really the TED Talks themselves. It's that we have been trained to kind of believe that, oh, everything in this world is a little bit wrong and it can be solved with this like tiny revelation, and that it's always going to be this like brilliant outsider who comes in and fixes it. I think that the TED Talks have trained us to value a form of storytelling that has become a form of how we experience the world. That is, I think, a little dangerous. Yeah.
Because it's a little too compact.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little too tied in a bow.
Yeah, exactly.
And you want people to embrace the messiness.
It's true. Yes.
And that's our little
We
light
love
that we're
mess.
going to share with you tonight. Thank you, everyone. Jade Chang. We're going to get a little bit of direction here. She'll be signing in the back.
She will be standing in the back where my coworkers are pointing at that little alcove. Thank you to everyone who showed up. Thank you to Jade for celebrating. Thank you guys for moderating. Thanks for asking questions. If you're still with us in the live stream, we have copies still available in the link. If you're here in person, we have just a few more to buy. So we're going to take Jade back there right now. Thank you so much for playing.
Thanks, everybody.